This is some of the best action that we've had in any of these movies. And we shot the most stunts on the day in camera.
Shooting that opening action sequence was really exhilarating. It was the first thing that we did.
Putting Spider-Man on the street with cars exploding, it's just so awesome. It's going to allow the audiences to be a part of this experience.
And one of the results of that is we were seeing thousands of people showing up to watch us work. It was a really lovely reminder to all of us how much this movie means to a lot of people in the world.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Sony and Marvel released a Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. There's a bunch of new footage, so we'll break it all down. There are also a couple of new comic book Easter eggs that we didn't spot in the previous trailers, too, like Spider-Man in his winter clothing from the comics. Even Spider-Man gets cold during the winter in New York City. It gets very cold there. I lived there for a little while, also confirming that part of the movie takes place during the winter. Starting at the beginning of the trailer, we see Tom Holland fighting the Hand inside the prison here. I know a lot of people are wondering, after Daredevil Born Again Season 2's ending with Matt Murdock, Daredevil, ending up in prison, arrested because he outed himself as Daredevil, so now he's being arrested for all the crimes that Daredevil committed. Technically, he did commit a couple crimes, even though it was for a good reason. People are now wondering if the prison where Spider-Man is fighting the Hand here with his mask off and the red eyes while his powers seem like they're evolving also just happens to be Matt Murdock's prison, and he might see him in this prison for some reason. But we do know that Daredevil Born Again Season 3, which they're in the middle of filming right now, all the Defenders characters are back. Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. We're getting classic Netflix Defenders, is going to be set after the events of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we already know at the beginning of Daredevil Born Again Season 3, at least, Matt Murdock is still in prison because of this scene with Luke Cage with his beard. So we'll be getting some of the Devil in Cell Block D at the beginning of Season 3, meaning that whatever might happen during Spider-Man Brand New Day, if Daredevil does happen to cameo in the background, it's not confirmed that this is the same prison, but if it is, then by the end of whatever's happening here with the Hand characters, this fight here, Daredevil will go back to his prison cell. Like, he's not going to bust out of prison here for good or anything like that.
I thought we'd have more time.
Speaking of which, we know that Punisher is going to show up in this movie. There are a couple behind the scenes that tie to his scenes as well, too. We just got the Punisher One Last Kill special presentation where we basically see him recommit to being the Punisher going forward and being a hero to protect other people, not just purely for the sake of revenge for the death of his family. I literally just did a much bigger Easter egg breakdown video of that, so I'll link it at the end of this. Then we get another scene of Spider-Man fighting Scorpion in his full Scorpion gear. Now, he's not wearing the helmet, but you do get a better look at his mechanical costume. It's not totally clear how he breaks out of prison from the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, but there was a big prison break scene that we also saw behind the scenes from in him in his prison jumpsuit. So whoever the actual main villain of this movie winds up being, that might be the person behind him actually breaking out and getting his mechanical Scorpion suit. Streets are currently saying that it might wind up either being Tombstone that helps break him out, or it could be the mysterious Jackal character who they seem to be hinting about in the background, but we haven't actually seen on screen. It might be Keith David's mystery character who's narrating in the previous trailer about the evolution of spiders, because experimenting on people, biology in general, is the Jackal's whole thing. He's the person that started the whole Clone Saga, even though they're not doing Clone Saga stuff during this movie. One of the other cool things about the Scorpion's abilities, I don't know if we'll see this in the movie, but his Scorpion Stinger Venom is able to pierce the Hulk's skin and affect him. There were a lot of theories about why Bruce Banner might Hulk out again into Savage Hulk form. We know that his gamma inhibitor has to be damaged in order for that to happen in the first place, so something happens to damage that, but I think a lot of people are now wondering if it's Sadie Sink's Jean Grey character that uses her powers of telepathy to cause him to Hulk out, and then also causes him to calm back down into Bruce Banner, just because that's something that we haven't seen in an actual live-action MCU movie yet. And it feels like that's what they're trying to do in this film, is show you things that you haven't seen in the MCU movies, particularly with the Spider-Man character before. Then we get a brand new scene of Spider-Man that we haven't seen before being thrown into a semi during a fight scene, and it's winter, and notice that he's wearing winter gear, which we actually saw during Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man movies, and it's a big comic book Easter egg in more recent years. Spider-Man wearing his winter coat because it is super cold in New York City. Maybe this scene is happening relatively close after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, because the main part of the movie we know takes place 9 months after Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker, and you don't know me, but you...
And based on when No Way Home ended during the winter, that means the main part of the movie would take place that next October, like in the fall. What's probably going on during this scene is that we see a montage of what he's doing, his different fights after the events of No Way Home as he's been friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and this just happens to be part of the montage right after the events of No Way Home. This is also why there's so many characters, so many villains in the movie, because some of them will probably just show up during this montage as like small bit villains, like blink and you'll miss him. You can let me know who you think that he's fighting when he's being thrown into the semi here. We get another scene of Spider-Man riding on top of a car through a chase scene here. We know from the other behind-the-scenes footage this is part of the tank chase scene that we've seen with him and the Punisher going at each other briefly before he's thrown on top of the tank. And we now know, because of the other footage in context, that it's the old lady that Jean Grey is using her powers of telepathy, Sadie Sink's character, to cause her to pilot the tank, even though she's a tiny old lady and doesn't know anything about piloting tanks probably. It seems like what's going on here is that Punisher is working with Jean Grey to do something, and she's just using her powers of telepathy to force the old lady to pilot the tank. Maybe she just plucks some random old lady off of the street and sticks her in the tank. When he rips the hatch off of the tank, the old lady seems like she has no idea how she got there. Like, what? What am I doing here? Like, what's this craziness? That was probably the biggest evidence that Sadie Sink is playing a version of Jean Grey, that she could do something like that. There was also another scene that leaked out of her with Punisher in just like regular gear. She wasn't wearing a particular comic book costume or anything like that. Looked a little worse for the wear, and it just seemed like he was protecting her. But it wasn't clear exactly what was happening in the scene. Maybe he was just helping rescue her, or they were helping do something with someone else. Because she didn't appear at the end of Punisher, One Last Kill, presumably there's a time jump and he winds up running into her and learning about her, that she needs help, and just starts protecting her. Punisher has a long history of protecting young girls. He did it during the Punisher Netflix Season 2. Same vibe, just somebody who's a much bigger character from the comics now. Let me tell you something, X-Men, I'm protecting your Jean Grey. But notice during all these Spider-Man parts of the chase scene, he still thinks that he's trying to stop the person in the tank and it's an actual villain, not an old lady who's being mind-controlled. So at this point in the movie, Spider-Man isn't really in on what's happening between Punisher and Sadie Sink's character. And it seems like once he finds out what's really going on, then he gets on board with helping her and helping Punisher out, and they start teaming up together.
I'll tell you what I think.
I'll tell you why.
Well, let me tell you something. But I can also tell you.
We don't really know what's happening with Sadie Sink in the movie, other than it seems like Damage Control wants to capture her because of her powers. And Tremel Tillman in the trailer, when he's talking about powers that we can't see, dangers that we can't see, that's what he's referring to, is her powers of telepathy and telekinesis. Her ability to fight someone from a distance because she doesn't need to be right up next to someone when she uses her powers. Even without the powers of the Phoenix Force, Jean Grey is one of the most powerful telepaths on the planet after Professor X, and powers of telekinesis as well too. But if you are talking about power scaling, without the powers of the Phoenix Force, Professor X is still a way more powerful telepath than she is. We get a couple more clips of Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, talking about the action with Tom Holland in some of the scenes that we've seen before. One of the other cool things he did was release the first 3 pages of the script with a lot of their official script notes that they wrote on it while they were filming the scenes. He reads the letter, "Hi, my name is Peter Parker, and you don't remember me, but I have something to tell you that's going to sound crazy, but it's the truth, and I know you're going to believe me because you're very good at telling me when I'm lying." And then the picture fades into Peter's apartment 9 months later, and you notice it is full of a lot of stuff just because he's been really busy being Spider-Man 24/7, so doesn't have a whole lot of time to clean, and he's been accumulating a lot of stuff as he builds his own tech. That's probably the biggest detail here too, is how he's making all of his tech now. It's meant to be the same apartment from No Way Home, but now he's constructed a new advanced 3D printing device to fabricate his Spider-Man tech and his suits. He also uses it to patch his suit. All the parts he grabbed from a bunch of different sources, and it's meant to be a callback to Iron Man, seeing that he dumpster dived his tech during Captain America Civil War to make his first homemade suit, and this is just a more advanced version of that idea. He works on his brand new web shooters, which we saw during the trailer. They have 4 cartridges, and the other big thing here, like real big detail, is that he's got another AI, and it's called EV, but they didn't say what the EV abbreviation stands for. It's just meant to be his next version of Karen, Suit Lady, Jarvis, Edith. They didn't say who would be voicing EV, though, like who they cast to actually play that character. While Peter is working on his suit, he gets a small, sharp headache, our first inkling that living completely in the shadows is taking its toll on him. Something is changing, and it may not be for the better. Peter shakes it off, hoping it's nothing. This is just meant to be the early signs of his spider transformation. His evolution is about to happen. There were a lot of questions after the trailer footage where he passes out after the party and goes into the spider cocoon and seemingly grows the organic web shooters and all these extra powers based on the comic book powers that he gets after he evolves. Now it kind of seems like there's no one source that actually caused that to happen. It's been happening slowly over time, like he's been slowly preparing to actually go into this cocoon and transform. And it is a result of his lifestyle these past 9 months, going slowly into 24/7 Spider-Man mode.
What is happening to me?
We used to know each other. We were together as the fabricator finishes patching his suit, because remember, it's a cloth-based suit now. It's inspired by both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's suits, which they say later in the script notes here. So it's getting damaged all the time. He continues reading the letter, but something bad was going to happen to the whole world, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget me. Bing, he gets an alert on his phone, new post from Ned on his social media. He puts the letter down and looks at his phone, a video of Ned in front of a big banner, welcome freshman engineers to MIT. And we get that social media video we saw him watching during the trailer, Ned at MIT saying, first day at MIT, woo, everybody's screaming in the background at MIT. Ned turns his camera to include MJ, who doesn't look happy to be on social media, which is meant to be like a funny moment because she hates social media in general. Ned tries to get her gassed up because they're brand new at MIT, or come on, MJ, pretend you're not like the happiest you've ever been in your life. MJ then beams, and you actually see some script notes that Zendaya wrote. Let's shoot this on a real phone. She says, I can't. The video freeze frames on MJ's blurry face. And then Peter continues reading the letter, including you, forgetting me. Peter smiles for them, even if he's miserable without them. Now that we're getting closer to the movie, we'll probably see more trailers like this and official, bigger trailers that tell us a little bit more about the actual story and the characters. And hopefully they'll start putting Sadie Sink's character in them more, and we'll learn more about her character. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and let me know if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the new footage that I didn't talk about in this video or my previous videos. The really big reminder is that The Boys finale, very final episode, is releasing next week. I'll probably do a trailer video for that in the next couple of days. Hopefully they'll release some new footage. And I just did the bigger Punisher One Last Kill special presentation, which is meant to be a prequel to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Click here for that full video, and click here for all my other Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.